So I wasn't really connected to medicine until after I left Berkeley, went to England, and there was a Muslim Sufi sheikh who said, Hakim, I wasn't called Hakim then, he said, you should do medicine. And I was surprised, and I thought, really? You know, but as he said that, I knew that he somehow understood that I had been interested in medicine from when I was 5 or 6 years old, and that I discovered in in the garage in the house my parents had an old encyclopedia. Bernard McFadden, has anyone ever heard of Bernard McFadden? Bernard McFadden was one of the so-called nuts among the berries, kind of one of the eccentric American health kind of fanatics. And he did this enormous thing called the Encyclopedia of Natural Health, Bernard McFadden. He's one of these people who at 65 was like, you know, working out and, you know, kind of like Kellogg and some of these other a little bit slightly kooky people, but Bernard McFadden was very sensible, and he had this Encyclopedia of Natural Medicine, and as a child I discovered that, and it became my books, and I used to go through those, and that was my first introduction. Later on, when I was 13 in Southern California, people were interested in television and watching television. Disneyland was being constructed, and my interest was in being more active and doing things more interesting than sitting in front of a television and watching I Love Lucy. So I had a hard time convincing my family to do that, but one of the things I used to do at that time when I was 13 is I used to go out and I found some books that were about plants and herbs, and I was so fascinated with the fact that you could go out and that you could actually eat what we considered weeds. And so I would collect weeds and various natural plants growing and try to make salads and try to get my family to eat them. They wouldn't do it, of course, but it was my introduction. So, and later on, anyone know a book called Stalking the Wild Asparagus? So these are all kind of books that have been influential in my life and that I'm referring to, Bernard McFadden. Stalking Wild Asparagus is a book by a man named Yule Gibbons. And curiously enough, he, at the age of 13, also went out and collected wild asparagus, which I did. I collected wild asparagus, tried to feed it to my family. And he did the same thing, but he wrote a series of books on the kind of foods that are out there that we don't ordinarily think of as foods that you can forage and find that we often consider weeds.